Everybody would want to stand and join us in the pledge of prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, please be with us tonight. Help us to make the right and best decisions for our county taxpayers, our county employees, department heads, and elected officials. And Lord, we want to thank you for allowing us to have such great council members. And tonight is kind of sad in a way, but we wish Ernie the best, and we wish him good health. And he will be missed, and John also, but he couldn't be here tonight. And a special word about our auditor extraordinaire, Michelle Puckett. This will be our last evening with her auditor and us as council members. And we just wanted her to know and you to know how much we appreciate her and what a blessing she's been. Please be with those who stand in harm's way to keep us safe, our first responders, and our military. Lord, we ask you to bless these proceedings and to have us do thy will. We ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
If I could ask everybody to turn off your cell phones. And if I could remember everybody here to speak into the microphone so those people who were kind enough to come tonight can actually hear us. Start with the approval of the minutes from November 10th.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Okay, and next, somebody from IDNA.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Good. The microphone works, that's good. So, Sue, I have to apologize. When we talked a few weeks ago, there was an item that you asked for and I overlooked, and I brought it tonight, an equipment list. Exactly.
Good
So, I think we might have a few extra
If you
copies
want to
to,
just give it to Michelle,
okay.
that'd be great. So we do have a procedure here that we need to go through for this particular process. And so let me just give a little bit of background and then we'll get started with it. So we approved on the 13th of October that we would consider the abatement. We declared the area. And then we tabled it in November because we knew we didn't have everything that we needed. Failure to submit the request prior to the purchase of installation of the equipment was what the holdup was. So this evening, we are here to do a public hearing to approve the waiver for the failure to submit the request prior to the purchase and installation of equipment. So at this point, it's your turn, speak in favor of the waiver.
Okay. Yeah, so yes, we would like you to approve the abatement, the confirmatory resolution. Now, there were some assets that have been purchased by now, but there are some equipment listings that have not been purchased yet that they anticipate purchasing this following year. So some of the assets will be installed as of January 1 of 2023. So we will report those assets on the Form 103 per state guidelines for this year. And then there'll be some additional equipment items purchased in 2023 that we'll pick up on the January 1, 24 Form 103, to be clear. And as we talked about, and I apologize, you didn't have this ahead of time, but we do have a list on here. The top part of the list is equipment that has already been purchased. And then the second part of that equipment list is items that we anticipate purchasing. Now, the numbers on here may not be accurate as far as what's going to get capitalized on the tax return and therefore reported on the Form 103, because there's installation cost and shipping cost and that sort of thing. So
That's
these
your
are.
best guess at this point.
Exactly, and I know we put on the form, the statement of benefits form, that the equipment purchase was going to be $1.2 million, what's kind of dark, 1.24, I think. And that may be a little high on what's actually going to be, because some of those items that may have been listed on here may not be exactly personal property items. Some may be real estate improvements
Okay.
that we're not seeking abatement on. So so that number might be a little bit lower than that, because we're only claiming the actual personal property equipment, manufacturing equipment, that sort of thing. So.
So is there anyone in the audience to speak against the waiver? Seeing none, I would close the public hearing. Does anybody on the council have questions about the waiver portion?
Make a motion to approve the waiver.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried, and that just means that we allowed them to purchase those items and then apply. And we have done that for several other abatements as has been needed. Okay, now we're ready to open the public hearing to approve the abatement. So at this point, I think you've shared a lot with us already. If there's anything else you want to say about the abatement that you think is critical, we'd be glad to listen.
We focus on the equipment. I think the other part of the abatement is the employees and additional jobs and whatnot. I have Mark Roth here with me with IDNA. He can, maybe if you have any specific questions about that, but we put on the statement of benefits form that there were, at the end of, in 2021, calendar year 2021, there were 49 employees with salaries listed on the SB1 of about 1.9 million. And we anticipate at least 8 additional employees at 300,000. And some of those employees have already been hired, and it may even exceed that number. But I don't know if you had any specific questions about types of jobs or anything like that, but.
Are they manufacturing?
Yeah, it's all related to manufacturing.
Thank you for speaking into the mic.
Are they full-time, part-time?
It's a mixture of both.
Okay.
There are full-time jobs that were added. We actually just recently added a third shift laser operator, but some are definitely part-time, seasonal.
Okay, thank you.
All the employees live within Kosciuszko County?
I believe, yes, most of them do.
Okay.
It's always interesting to hear whether people come here to work or whether they leave and go elsewhere. So,
Yeah, we have some that commute, for sure. We have a guy in Cherubusco that comes, and we have some others, but for the most part, they're Kosciuszko County.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and anyone in the audience to speak against? Seeing no one, there are some things that we need to discuss. We need to figure out the designated limit for the cost of personal property, the designated limit for the assessed value to be abated. We also need to determine the length of time they have to install it, and then the number of years the deduction would apply. I provided you with an information sheet that shows what the SB1 was and what the assessed value was expected to be. And I think you also received a sheet with a breakdown of if we did a personal property at 5 years and if we did it at 3 years based on what's on the SB1.
Ernie, did you mention 3 years? Did you see this?
Yeah, I'm just
Isn't
looking at
that
it
what we
now.
were talking about? But that would be more beneficial, correct?
So does any council member have any questions, comments on what we need to decide?
How long have you been in business within the county?
We've been in business since 2009.
Your claim to fame is the Sportula, right?
Correct.
I've purchased a few of those for
World famous
gifts.
Sportula.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
I like the 3-year.
Is that a motion? If it is, I'll second it.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to do a 3-year. I think it's going to be the most beneficial for you. I'll make that motion.
I second.
Okay, so we're talking determination that the designation is limited to 3 calendar years to have it installed. And then are you also saying that the exemption would apply for 3 years as well?
Yes.
And over the 3 years, the proposed abated dollars would be 26,383.81. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, sir.
That's the 3 years total.
Yes,
Okay.
that would be approximately the correct amount. And then the other thing that we need to set, because that paperwork has to be included, is the cost estimate, if we want to set a limit. And as you said, it's not going to be that high, but if we set that limit and you don't purchase things that are on that purchase list, because that's what the assessor will go by to see what is a qualifying entity for the abatement, then you would have the assessed value is also an estimate. We would approve that as well.
Do I need to include that in my motion? Or is that a separate motion?
Let's hit the 3 first, and then we can move on. So we had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. No one opposed. Now, we could address the amount of cost to be abated and then the assessed value to be abated.
But Sue Ann, if we establish the amount that they request and they don't spend it for the listed items, we still don't give, it's not like they're getting anything more than what they actually buy.
They only get what they ask
Correct.
for on that list of
Right.
the things to install.
Up to a certain amount, which is on this request.
Is my understanding. Is that not yours too? Ernie? Okay.
I would make a motion to approve what's advertised on the request of 1.242 on personal property and 695,526.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And now that we've established all that, now we can adopt the confirmatory resolution. It's a long way around the barn. So would somebody like to make a motion that we adopt the confirmatory resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Appreciate it.
And
Appreciate
thanks,
it.
thanks for
Coming in.
choosing Kosciuszko County.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
thank you.
We appreciate that.
We're glad to be here.
Thank you.
Guys, have a good evening.
You
Day
too.
2. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
And next, the American Rescue Plan. Senior Services, David Neff comes first.
I'd like to, excuse me, thank the council for considering my request, our request. Kind of apologize for some of you that were on the committee. You're going to hear a lot of the same information, but it can't be helped. Our current fleet consists of a 2012 Ford Van Tierra with 136,000 miles, a 2016 Ford 350, both buses on those two, they're both buses, with 78,000, a 2017 Dodge Caravan van with 70,000 miles, a 2018 Ford 50 bus with 23,000, and a 2019 Dodge Caravan with 32,000. In a perfect world, I would have written a request to NDOT to replace that 2012 bus with 136,000. I was hearing through my contacts at cabs and everything that it's getting increasingly harder to get the buses. So right now, we have 3 buses and 2 vans, and that's kind of the ratio I like. And then I got an email from Brian Jones, who's a program manager at NDOT, And in that email, it was stated that van and bus procurements have become exceedingly difficult because of computer chip material shortages during COVID. Also, the prices of these vehicles are going to double. What we normally paid around $40,000 for a van is going to go up to $80,000. We paid about $50,000 for the bus. That could go as high as $120,000, according to NDOT. They also are going to be limited to 40 vehicles per year for the entire state for the next 3 to 5 years. So there we are. We need rescue. My idea was to save the older bus, so we still have 3 buses, add this van that we got from Superior Mobility that I got a bid for that you should have. They are down to 1 vehicle left, and I've talked to them repeatedly, and they assured me they're going to save that. The odds of us getting a bus anytime soon are slim. I know Cabs has been waiting for a while to get replacement buses. So this gives us a little hedge room. In 3 to 5 years, when and if things get better, then we can trade in and get a new bus to replace both of those older buses and stay at 3 buses. So that's my idea. I do want the council to know, I did go local in an attempt to keep the money in Kosciuszko County. I went to 2 dealerships. I'm not going to say who they were, but they sure wanted to sell me a van, but they couldn't get me an ADA van. And they had said, well, we'll install the ramp. And I said, what about manufacturer warranties? And they didn't have an answer for me. So then I drove to Fort Wayne and talked to Superior Van and Mobility, and that 1 van's still waiting for us. If they sell it, I'm gonna, but no, they assured me last week that they still have it. So at this time, are there any questions for me?
No, but I'd make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. David, I believe you are 1 step forward in trying to buy that van.
That's right.
I'll be
And if
calling
you
them
get
tomorrow.
with Michelle, Michelle will tell you what the process is.
We've already spoken.
Okay, great, great.
Thank you very much.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Okay, moving right along. Community corrections. Why, Barry Andrews,
Sarah,
hello.
you changed.
I will be the woman of many faces this evening. The first one being Barry Andrews for Community Corrections. So he applied to ARPA and the county council and commissioners, all 3, for $25,000 for radios for community corrections. This $25,000 request is for 2 car radios and 5 handheld. That will put one of the new radios in each one of the vehicles and then one with each employee. When the majority of the fire departments and police departments came forward last December, this time of year, the last minute, we got that done, to request these radios. Their department kind of missed the boat a little bit, so they're coming before you at this point to ask for those new radios that will work very well with our new communication systems that I believe is up and running.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Moving right along, Mentone four-way ambulance.
Jill's changed a
Why,
lot,
look,
too.
there's Jill coming to the
Jill.
microphone.
Good evening.
Hello.
Jill was not able to be here this evening, so their request for Mentone four-way ambulance is for 7 radios. They were included in the group a year ago, but they, I don't believe, understood quite the project and what the scope of it was. And now that it's coming here in the next week or so, they found that they need more radios just to be able to cover everybody when they're on duty. So that's their request, is for the $29,465.
And I've talked to Jill about this also and knew that you were going to represent her tonight, so I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcia.
And moving right along, Mission Fellowship. And this is not Eric Glenn.
It continues. No, my name is Brooke Skeens, and my dad, Eric, tested positive for COVID last night in the hospital, so he is unable to attend. So I'm going to, in my best effort, do the best that I can for this. But I want to thank you for allowing me to be here to present this request for a new security system as well as washer and dryers. With our services increasing to meet the needs of people in our community who are facing homelessness, substance abuse, and mental illness, our proposal is to replace our old analog security system with new digital cameras and access-controlled security. Our current system is limited in its recording space, video quality, and coverage in and outside of the shelter. Our new security system will be able to give us digital quality recordings in and outside of the shelter, along with digital quality day and nighttime recording, as well as audio recording. This system is an all cloud-based system that can be accessed from anywhere. We did receive 2 local quotes, but we feel that the one that we have chosen best fits all of our needs. The quote that we have presented to you has a 7-year service warranty, so that means if anything were to fail within the system, it could be replaced within those 7 years. The second part of our request would be 6 sets of washers and dryers. All of our residents do their own laundry as part of their life skills programming, so the washer and dryers are consistently running throughout the day. The washers and dryers we have right now, we've had for about 7 years, and during that time, we've had to have some replaced with used units and replacement parts, but parts are becoming more and more hard to obtain. But with that, on behalf of Fellowship Missions, I would like to thank you again for allowing me to present our requests. Do you guys have questions?
You made your dad proud, huh?
Well, thank you.
Good job, good job.
I make a motion to approve, and thank you, and thank your dad
Yeah.
for the job that you do. It's much needed in our community.
Well, thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I hope he feels better.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
It's you.
It's really me. So the request from the county is for HVAC repairs, and if you recall, the last few meetings I've been telling you about some issues we were having with our HVAC. We had Core Mechanical come in and Johnson Controls. They were here for about a week, going through our system, identifying issues that we had, and we found that we have 10 air handler units that the controls are not working correctly and they will need to be replaced. And we had just as many VAV units that we have issues with controls that we need to replace. That would be totaling the $67,708.
I liked your line that due to improved efficiencies of the system. I like that.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you, Marcia. And moving right along, it is the Bob. It is the Bob's turn.
Yep.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
I am requesting a new appropriation of $10,810 to place into the accounts that you see there. And the reason those accounts are low is because I've had to continually, over the last 3 to 4 months, transfer out of those into funds that I use to pay part-time nursing. It all involves COVID and kids being very much behind in their immunizations and having to put on more nurses to complete the lines at the clinic again for kids that are catching up on their shots. I thought I could make it, but I need some money in those accounts to see us through.
So close, Bob.
But like I said, we did have I was able to put in some funds that
Thank you.
we got for administrative fees.
Oops, go ahead.
I
I'll
make a motion
second.
to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob, would you
Thank you.
want to share about the Tippy Chapman thing that happened today?
Yeah, they had a photo opportunity. It was kind of the cutting of the ribbon, as you say, for the project. It was in Oswego. And there was quite a few people in attendance. I think it'll be on the news. And, you know, two commissioners were there, 3, I think, well, 2 at least. But a lot of people were there.
So
well
glad
attended, so.
to see that project get off the ground and get moving.
Yes,
That's great.
they were able to start work on it November 1st.
Yay,
Great.
that's awesome.
So hopefully completion by September of '24.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Thank
That's
you for
great.
your efforts on that
Yep.
board, Bob.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
Appreciate it.
Enjoy your party.
He's the one that's supposed
Okay,
to.
moving right
Yeah,
along,
go
the
to a
coroner.
Christmas party. Good evening, all.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Ernie, thank you for your service to the council. I know tonight's your last meeting, and it's my last meeting standing here before you as coroner. I would like to take a moment to congratulate Tyler Huffer on winning the caucus, and he'll be taking over. Him and I are planning to meet next week to start some transition stuff, so.
Great.
And I do want to thank, well, here he left, I want to thank Bob Weaver for everything the health department's done for me during that time. Okay, I'm here tonight to ask you for an additional appropriation. I know we came in September and asked for one, and we've run out of that money. Michelle and I had a meeting a month ago, maybe, and decided that, we need to get some more money so we get 2022 bills paid so that Tyler doesn't suffer out of his budget in 2023. This year's been an unusual year for us. We've had 26 overdose deaths as of the end of November.
Gosh.
The record is 17 several years ago. And I know we've had at least 2 already this month. So that's been an unusual year for that. We've responded to 192 calls for service with 121 actual scenes made. But 47% of our cases have been persons under the age of 60 with little or no known medical history. So in those cases, we got to do autopsies on them. And the majority of these cases have come since the August time. We were fairly slow, fortunately, through the first part of the year, but since August, it's been nonstop. And we've already had a total of 5 cases for December, and this is only the 8th.
Gosh.
So we spent a lot of money on autopsies, and I know it calls it x-rays and labs, but it pays for our autopsy and all our toxicology testing. We don't know that we'll need the full 50,000, as Michelle and I talked. We thought we'd make sure we had enough to cover, and then whatever we don't use, we don't get to keep. That's why we're back here tonight to ask for that.
Thank you for updating us on all that.
Thank you.
I'd make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony, you'll
Thanks,
better
Tony.
understand additional appropriations when you get us set up here, okay?
I've heard Sue Ann's speech on being prepared to justify your additional appropriation before.
And Marcia.
Okay. I have an additional appropriation here. It's a transfer from maintenance into gas and electric for $43,000. If you remember, we were here last month doing transfers to cover electrical bills due to the high rate of increase in the costs. So this should finish it out for the year and start the new year fresh.
Make a motion. Go ahead.
Hopefully.
Make
All
a
we have
motion
is
to approve.
hope.
Okay, we have a motion. Can we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Okay, so the additional appropriations that you're seeing now are all the ones that you just approved. So this is just appropriating those dollars to be spent. Do you want me to read through them, or?
No.
No.
Make a motion, make
No,
a
we're
motion to
good.
approve.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
All right,
I
thank
do
you.
want to make a comment on these. I know to the audience, it may appear like we are taking this very lightheartedly. Some of us, this is the 4th time we've heard them, so most of us have heard them at least 3 times. So it's not like we don't know what is
What it
included
is,
in their
yes.
request.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Marcia.
Thank you.
But now, did the public defender services, where did that come from? Oh, that's Michelle later.
Right.
Okay,
Steve.
and now it's time for Steve Moriarty. Steve, who is our award-winning highway person.
Woo-hoo.
Congratulations, Steve. I also want to tell you all that Steve is participating very strongly in the legislative process. which is going to be great for Kosciuszko County because he gets it, he understands it, and he knows what legislation needs to be done to help us. So thank you for that effort as well, Steve.
You're very welcome. When they asked me to be the legislative chair for our association, I didn't quite know what was all, yeah, wow.
Yeah,
A lot of,
that's a
lot
lot
of
of
reading
work.
in meetings, but, I come before you tonight to ask for, two different things. The first one will be a grant request, and it says on there, Bridge 123, it's 139, that I'd like to apply for, and that's on 700 East, and that's over the Eel River. It's the Nova call for the funding for the Federal Highway Department through NDOT that governs it. The total of the cost of the project is $5,449,000. The portion that we're asking for the federal funds, which is 80%, would be $4,327,200. So with that, I'd like to apply for that grant, and that would be request to 2028.
That would be
So, I
awesome.
mean, this is a long way out, and this is the biggest bridge we have in the county.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Also, I want to point out that the application date was earlier, and so this is one that I told him it would be fine. So thank you, because I don't have $4.3 million to help him out with it.
We haven't got it yet.
But thanks for being
Just
so
apply.
proactive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you.
really taking it seriously and being proactive for our county. That's so important, and we're so proud of you.
Thank you.
Well,
We've been-
congratulations.
Yes.
We've been very successful here in the last years going for the federal grants for bridges, and that's the only way that we can actually pay for them, because you can see the cost of them. And doing the 80-20, what a benefit that we get. Now, yes, they're so far out, but soon they'll start hitting.
Great.
And then the other thing, we just got awarded the community crossings, which was
Yeah.
$1 million 50/50 matching grant. So we've got that every year since Tilly was in charge. So.
That's great.
The other thing I'd like to ask for is a transfer from the NVH. I'd like to transfer from supplies and garage to fuel and oil lubrications, and this is for diesel fuel for the amount of $11,203.50.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. I think we all understand that one.
Yeah.
Did you want to share with us about your award?
It was a very surprising award that we got. We were out to stop for lunch, and my assistant superintendent said, "We need to go." And I'm like, "Oh, no, we're fine." Like, you know, and then he's like, "No, we need to go now." So surprising enough, when they started reading the bio, I'm like, "That guy's busy." And then when they said head football coach, I'm like, "Yes, he is busy." So I was very honored to be nominated, and that's a big award. There's a lot of counties out there and a lot of good superintendents. So, and thank you, Ernie, for all your service. I've truly been missed.
We're glad you're ours.
We're
Highway
glad you're ours.
Superintendent.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along.
All right, the first thing on my list, I have an additional appropriation request on behalf of Judge Reed. This is for the Public Defender Services for our supplemental fund. These funds are collected through the courts. They are specifically can only be used for public defender services, but only in very few narrow cases. In the past, we have not had the opportunity to utilize these funds, but currently, they have a few cases in this narrow window that they would like to utilize $14,500 worth. The fund balance is $774,000. And this is one of those funds that we have talked with Judge Reed, Judge Bauer, talking to our legislators to try to review the parameters and restrictions of this fund usage. So hopefully going forward, they can release some of those restrictions so we can tap into these dollars. But currently, they are smaller, but we do have the opportunity to use it if this additional appropriation is allowed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
The second item I have is another additional appropriation for $6,000. So last month at the meeting, I came before you because Judge Reed had a grant request, and it was approved, but initially it was for $44,000, so that's what we did the additional for. The grant was actually approved for $50,000, which left this $6,000 gap in that additional. So I said, I'll be back. So I am back. And so we're asking for that additional for $6,000 to bridge that gap for the court reform grant.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
So the last item I have is on behalf of Judge McGrath. So she is asking for permission to apply for the 2023 Court Interpreter Grant. We have had this grant in the past many years ago. The past few years, we have not, but now she is seeking the opportunity to apply for that once again. This grant would be utilized for all courts, not just one, but all 5 would have access to this funding. We don't know exactly the entire amount that will be awarded, but she is asking for $30,000, and this will allow them to have the certified interpreters that they need to have in place to properly represent the individuals coming before them.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along, the next thing on the agenda is the list of the appointments. And for brevity's sake, I am not going to read all these. I did provide information to the press. If anybody wants a copy, Angie has copies out there if you want to see who the appointed people are to the committees that we must fill. So I have some notes here, some things that we need to cover as year-end information. So we will be electing a new president and a new vice president January the 12th. 12th. No, caught that wrong. The 12th, as they have historically been elected actually in January when our 2 new council members will join us. As a way of just information, the Christmas party for the county will be held December 13th, and that will be from 11 to 1 in the multipurpose basement room. And if you have not given your $20 to Marcia, she would love to see you. Was that good? We have also done a resolution for the auditor to do year-end transfers. That is already in place, and that gives the auditor the ability to make all of our accounts in the black. So if money needs to be transferred from one place to the other, it does not have to come back to the council for final approval. She can do that. So at the end of 12/31/22, we will wind up with all of our accounts as they should be in the black, with the exception of reimbursable grants that we do not have not received the money back from yet. After the first of the year, we may want to change that procedure a little bit with 2 new council members in order for them to get a better understanding of how that transfer process works, and also for them to be able to have a little bit of more personal contact with the individual departments. That will help with those relationships and building those friendships with those people so that everybody will be able to move forward with it. The tracking will still be done by the auditor's office, but the council will be approving those transfers unless they are of an emergency nature. Those would be the kind that would cause us to pay some kind of a late fee, which obviously we don't want to do that. I do want to report on that I had a conversation with Ron Truex, who is the president of the Merit Board, and the Merit Board will be providing a list of their schedules for the council for this next year. Council members may attend, but they cannot be included in executive sessions unless they are specifically invited to discuss a specific matter. When the pension information is presented, it will be presented to the council in advance of budgets so that we know, and the commissioners will also receive that same information. All parties will be able to be on board then with what the financial burden is related to the pension plan. We will also be reviewing the commissary fund and the rules that pertain to it with the incoming sheriff so that we are clear and he is clear. There are some things in there that have been added that perhaps may need to be adjusted, but that will be worked out with the sheriff. And then swearing in will be held December 20th, following the commissioners' meeting, and all of you and all of us are invited to attend. And we will welcome in our 2 new council members, Dave Wilkins and Tony Cirillo. January 13th at 6 p.m. will be their first meeting, and then they'll get their feet wet. The 12th. I was stuck on the 13th as I was writing all this. So as a segue, that is my segue. I wrote these down, my notes down, because I wanted them to be what I wanted them to say, and I knew otherwise I'd get to rattling, any of you that know me. So, I want to express the council's most sincere appreciation to Michelle for her service to the county council. Her amazing cooperative spirit has been such a blessing. Her years of hands-on experience, her forward thinking for solutions when problems arise, her willingness to always provide for the needs of the council and so many others involved in county government, but most of all, her dedication to doing the job and doing it right. She will be missed, but these jobs are not owned by one person. They are the elected officials' responsibility for the length of their term. They do not take them with them. The good news is that Michelle's knowledge and understanding of county government will remain as she assumes the role of county treasurer at the beginning of next year. This would certainly be a different feeling if her talents were going to be lost by county government. I know Michelle looks back on her time as auditor, she will come to know the following. She will know it was not an easy job, but she accomplished it. She did the best job she could. She made great improvements. She left the office better than she found it, and she will be able to put her head on the pillow at night knowing she did her best. I have a small token of appreciation for Michelle from the County Council. It's making her an honorary County Council person as evidence. I will wear it my first day on county council, I promise. Thank you.
Not that I need to say the last word, but I did try to do something new and actually prepare something in organized fashion. As my mentor always leads me, and she doesn't even know. So as this is my last meeting for you, I wanted to thank each and every one of you for my tears. They always come, for allowing me to serve you each and every day over the past 8 years, for believing in me, in my abilities, and my knowledge to successfully support you as council members, for encouraging me to learn and grow, even though it was not always easy. It was definitely worth it, for mentoring me to be the absolutely amazing, positive leader that stands before you today. And I want to thank each and every one of you, Kathy, Mike, Joni, Sue Ann, Ernie, Kim, John Garber, Tom England, Doug Heinisch, Jimmy Moyer, Brad Tandy, John Fussell, Larry Techmeyer, and Bob Sanders, for making me the person I am today and for allowing me to leave you this one last time and to truly call every one of you my friend. I could not have done this without you, and I would not have wanted to, and this will be my service here. My last one as your auditor. I will always be here to support Rhonda as new coming in as auditor. If anyone wants a really good laugh, I did get my photo from Al Disbro when I was sworn in, and I put it next to my picture that he gave me 8 years ago when I was sworn in as auditor, so you can see the effects that auditor has. I have a before and after auditor photo, and I tell you, I have aged substantially.
Right.
But I
That's
proudly
right.
have, and truly, it has been my distinct honor to serve you. So thank you, each and every one.
Thank you. And now we should be honoring two of our own who are leaving the council, but John Garber is unable to attend tonight due to illness. We wish John a speedy recovery with our prayers, thoughts, and concerns. John came to the council after serving many years as a Warsaw Parks director. He had a great grasp on budgeting, as he had done that hands-on part with Warsaw City, so the council position was right in his wheelhouse, though there were differences between what the city and county does. When the president of the council passed away, Bob Sanders was severely missed, but John stepped up and he served as president of the council. Bob was a tough act to follow. John has been a contributing member through this and is very thoughtful and considerate of county business. He served on many committees, but was primary to serving on the Bowen Center, originally appointed by the council, and then the commissioners, the law changed and it went to the commissioner's appointment, and the commissioners were smart enough and did the right thing and certainly put the right person there, because that was something that John really, really does care about. He also served for several years on the Area Plan Commission. When John spoke at meetings, it had a meaning, was thoughtful, and had consideration behind it. Even though John is not here, would you please honor John with a round of applause, because he deserves it. Guess what, Ernie, you're next. Honoring Ernie Wiggins is an honor in and of itself. Ernie moved from city council to mayor of Warsaw to county council, and are we ever glad you did. Just like with John, there's a difference between city and county government, and Ernie eased right into the position. He served on the MACOG board for several years and held the position of president. He served on the ARPA committee, which has been many long meetings evaluating appropriate spending. Ernie has served as the president of the council and certainly kept things moving along. Ernie is the quiet thinker, the peacemaker, the compromiser, the budget guru who will let you know what he is thinking and will stand up for what is right. Ernie is another one who, when he speaks, people listen. He has always been willing to talk out plans and ideas so there are no unintended consequences. Ernie, it is with great sadness that we see you go, but know you will still be around for consultation and for help when asked. I have a small presentation on behalf of the council for you as well. It's a pin from the County Council Association with our appreciation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue Ann. It's been a privilege and an honor to serve on the county council, and I will have to admit there was a transition going from city government to county government. But David, you can go from state government to county government, I'm sure. So I understand you went through the newly elected officials training, and it was beneficial. So looking forward for you and Tony to be on here. And like I said, I told Sue Ann, I'll be a phone call away, or Kim or anyone else. But thank you for your friendship. It's been fun.
So as we come to the end, it's not the end, it's going to go on, it's gone on for years. I want to say thank you to Rhonda for putting your name out there and for being willing to serve as our next auditor. To Tyler, thank you for putting your name out there and being willing to be the next coroner. I'd call them all out, but they're not all here. I'll only touch those that are here. And thank you to you two, Tony and Dave, for stepping up and being willing to help serve on this magnificent board. We're friends. We do a lot of thinking, and I think it's critical thinking, and I know that both of you will be able to bring that to the table with us. We look forward to you joining us next month. Now, I'm going to stop right there for a minute. So does anybody have anything that you want to share of meetings, things that you think somebody here needs to know something else about?
Not today.
Okay, not today. We'll pass on that one today. So at this point, I would like to ask that we have a motion to adjourn, but I would also, hold on, hold your taters there. I would like to also share with you that we will be having cake, because we're going to eat cake and have a party. There's cake in the back room. We'd like for everybody to stay and at least have a piece of cake and enjoy the fellowship with all of us. Now, Mike, it's your turn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, wait a minute. Marcia wants to tell us about the towers, don't you?
I do. And thank you for
And I'm
already
sorry.
mentioning the employee Christmas dinner. I had that on my list of things, but thank you. So update on the Public Safety Communications Project. We are making progress. The police departments, all of the police departments in the county went on last week. They have found a few issues. There's some programming encryption issues that they are working on. Those should all be taken care of. It's not anything that's affecting their functionality at this point in time, but it should be taken care of by the end of next week. Monday, all the fire departments and the EMS will go on. This week has been dedicated to taking care of the programming of the radios. A few pagers had some issues, and those have all been taken care of, and we are ready to put them on there on Monday. Dispatch has had their training, and I understand that's been fairly well, so we're ready for Monday, and we're almost there. So just trying to iron out some last issues with things and move things along. So it's been a long road, but I think everybody's appreciative of what's come with this project and what it can do for the county.
And how wonderfully exciting it is that we're almost there. And the fact that we had the money from the ARPA funds that helped
Yes.
make that happen.
Yeah, that's helped a lot of
We would have
communities.
gotten it done, we would have made it happen, but it would not have been near as easy. And I think that's a true, true blessing.
Yes, so now you can party.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie, it's your turn.
Yeah, along with that tower, I'm sure most of you seen the paper, but the city of Warsaw did come alongside us in an MOU supporting our tower project. So, they are giving us $500,000 towards that project. And I know this tower project has been a lot of work, and I mean, it's taken a lot. We're getting really close to the end. I mean, Marcia has been a driving force behind that, so I thank her for all her hard work.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, anybody in the audience have anything you'd like to share for the good of the order? Questions, concerns, thoughts? Ed Rock? Do you want to sing?
Come on, Ed.
Come on, Ed.
Okay. I think you've already done it. Did you
Made the
already do it?
motion.
Okay, motion's been made. Do we have a second? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you, folks, for a great year. Thank you for being who you are, all of you. Thank you.
I think that's John's.
Here's this at my house.
That's fine. That just gives me another excuse to see you.
That's what we're doing.
I want to make sure I have the IDNA information correct, because I don't think
It might be easier if I give you this right cheer sheet.